Shay and I actually watched An American Pickle this week.
Oh yeah, that movie.
That movie. So American Pickle is a movie starring Seth Rogen. It's directed by Brandon Trost, who isn't a director's name that you may have heard of before, but he is a cinematographer, and he is a cinematographer for a lot of movies that you've heard of. So things like Disaster Artist, things like Pop Star, Never Stopping, Neighbors, The Night Before, That Awkward Moment, This Is the End. He's somebody who's frequently collaborating with Seth Rogen and James Franco and those guys and The Lonely Islands. So this is, I guess, his first directing gig. This movie, it's an HBO Max original, and man, I wanted to like this movie more. And I know that's not the best way to start off a review of a movie, but I just feel like I don't know what this movie was about. And I think that's something that Shay and we both came away from. Seth Rogen plays kind of dual roles. He plays his great-great-great-grandfather who fell into a pickle brine and was preserved for 100 years and wakes up in modern day, where he teams up with his great-great-great-grandson, who is Seth Rogen today, I guess, and just kind of live their life together. But there's no really rhyme or reason for what they're doing other than, old Seth Rogen. I'll refer to them as old and young Seth Rogen. Old Seth Rogen was upset at the Russians for, I guess, attacking his village in the past. So now his whole goal is to take down this billboard for vodka that is now over the cemetery where his wife is buried. And young Seth Rogen is an app developer who is trying to get his app off the ground, but is unable to do so. And it almost sounds like I'm doing a what's the plot right now, but I'm not. That's just what this movie's about. And I'll let Shay jump in here with some of his thoughts on it.
I think, yeah, Daniel, when you're describing this film, I'm hearing you and I'm going, oh my God, what? And here's the thing.
Was it that?
Here's the thing. The first, maybe 10 minutes of the film, I thought, okay, there's some promise here. This movie could actually be really funny because I laughed a bunch of times.
Definitely.
And then it just to me felt like it could have been something that was maybe like a 9-minute sketch on SNL. And then they just kept pulling and trying to make, because every scene in the movie feels so disjointed and edited and kind of like stitched together that when you're watching it just feels like different clips of the same movie that are just kind of piled. Yeah, they're just piled together. There's no motivation for any of the characters. I think the character development, and I know this is a movie about a guy who survives in pickle brine, so why am I looking that deep into it? But at the end of the day, if you're going to put me in your world, at least help me help you feel entertained in it too. And I didn't. I don't know. It was Seth Rogen young supposed to be finding his faith as a Jewish man, who isn't as much Jewish anymore and now wants to be more Jewish. Like, there were so many things that they were trying to do that at the end of the day, I've forgotten maybe 95% of this film.
That's so true. Honestly, Shay, again, we always kind of come back to that idea of, put us in the world of your movie, but don't make us question the reality of your movie. Mm-hmm. I always go to the example of Avengers. I believe the Avengers travel through time. I was in that movie. I didn't question it. It made sense in that world.
Exactly.
When let's look at a more recent example, Palm Springs, a movie about the same day repeating over and over and over again because of this weird cave that they went into. I never questioned that because the movie didn't make me think about that. This movie literally is about a man out of time who is coming into a modern day world, and it's never addressed other than with old Seth Rogen and young Seth Rogen when they're talking. Everything else he's doing, he's starting a pickle company because I guess he worked at the pickle factory, which he never even made the pickles. He was just there killing rats in that factory. Now he's a master pickle briner or a pickle preserver, whatever you call them, and it's never addressed. And then he gets a bunch of success, and there's a lot of making fun of modern day people, which is great, in modern day kind of technology and hipsters and all that kind of like the news cycle and all that, but it never really comes up that he's a man out of time until way later in the movie. This movie literally starts or like comes to the modern day with him being in a pickle brine, which you would have drowned in that. You would have drowned in that water. Why am I thinking about this? He literally, kids discover him in this factory that's never been touched for some reason in New York City. Yeah. Never been touched, never been demolished or walked into. And all this water is perfectly preserved. Sorry?
It's because of the drone just knocks over the lid.
Nobody's ever been in there before, and like you're thinking about this, and this movie, what does he do? It literally jumps, instead of him being a fish out of water, literally, or a fish out of pickle juice, it just jumps to a conference with him with scientists. It doesn't even show us his first reactions to being in modern day. It's a random ass jump cut to him talking with scientists saying, "Oh, yes, that makes," the scientists saying, "Yes, that makes all perfect sense," and they make a joke out of it, which is funny, but it's also just like, oh, there's no stakes, there's no consequences. Why should I care about this character? And and then both characters just treat each other awful. So you're like, who am I? I'm not rooting for any of you guys. You guys both suck.
Yeah. I personally don't even like pickles. So if I were to give this movie, I ask for no pickles on my burger all the time. I don't like pickles at all. So if I were to give this movie a rating, it'd be remove the pickles, skip it. Daniel, what about you?
Oh yeah, easily. I would say hold the pickles. You don't need to watch this movie. Like this movie, everything will be okay in the end, but you don't have to watch this movie to
what
find that.
What if our audience likes pickles though? Like, would you say eat the pickle, skip the movie?
That sounds like a line from Godfather. Take the gun. Leave the gun.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
That's it.
Yeah, it's. I think it's just safe to say skip it. This isn't a movie that isn't required viewing. I know we're very thin right now with movie releases, but guess what? Unhinged and the SpongeBob movie is coming out this week, so you don't have to wait too much longer.
There's hope.
I just want to say to you guys, I told you so. I told you so.